Hello, my name is Cody Carlson, doing my case study for EDL 851. Good teacher turns bad. Brief summary, this is a case where a veteran teacher who's always been a cornerstone of this elementary school allows some issues in her personal life to interfere with her teaching duties. Her attitude and behavior starts to change due to rough times at the home. This attitude then affects her teaching, where she becomes public enemy number one to students, parents, and some fellow teachers. What do we know? Crestview Elementary School, it's one of 3 elementary schools in the district. It's in a rural area. They've had consistent faculty for the last 8 years. Mrs. Wilson is the principal there for the last 4. She's well liked and respected by all stakeholders and has been very consistent and successful in her previous first 3 years as a principal. Then there's Mrs. Horton, veteran first grade teacher, actual former teacher of the year in the district. The issues at home, her husband moved out, left her raising 2 teenage boys on her own. The stress piles up and she stops doing all the little things that made her a great teacher. She's now having multiple parent and students complaints and accuse her of negative behavior. What do we need to know? We need to know about Mrs. Horton's previous teacher evaluations. Was there a trend of this happening, going downward with her and her teaching? Also, what has her evaluation schedule been like? Is now that she's a veteran, is she on every 4 to 6 years, which allows her to kind of sneak through the cracks? And now we're at this issue. Also, what are the school policies on teacher evaluations? Can we bring her back up to evaluations every year? We also need to know the history of the accusers. Is this a parent or parents that have a reputation of issues? Every class their daughter's been in, it's been issues. What about other siblings? Have they had issues with them as well? Or maybe there's a prior relationship between them and Mrs. Horton that's caused this complaint. Also, we'd like to know how many years of service has Mrs. Horton been teaching. Is she pretty close to retirement? Also, is tenure available in this district, and does she qualify for that? Not a huge deal, but it'd kind of be nice to know the level of union involvement in this school, kind of know what we're dealing with here. And then, have there been any previous conversations between the principal and Mrs. Horton? Is this the first serious issue, or has this happened throughout her career? Problem identification, we got a couple here. We know that the parent meeting did not go very well, and it was very unprofessional by Mrs. Horton, which has caused tensions to rise a little bit more. How can we diffuse this whole situation if it's just a solo kid? Does moving one kid fix the entire situation with a quick fix, or does it continue the problem? And then also, how can we help Mrs. Horton? Tough times. These tough times are impacting negatively our student learning, and what type of support does she need? Category 2, my plan of action. Step 1, I'm looking at prior actions. As this happened, she stopped showing up in the summer and doing all the little things that she used to do. I'm reviewing some things here. I'm looking at alternative choices. Is retirement a possibility for her? Is there a position in the school district that might be a little bit less stressful where we can move her to? Just having these plans in the back of my mind, and then I'm going to go have a conversation with her. I'd also like to review district policies, stay current with any law changes, just to double check my boxes here. Don't want a lawsuit from her, the student union, or the teachers union, or the parents. Conversation with Ms. Horton after I've got my own little backup plan. I'm going to talk to her at the very beginning of the year. It's going to be very casual, non-confrontational, but I'm going to mention some assistance for her. I'm going to try and pump her up. Hey, it's a new year, new you, new situation, new students. I also want to get a feel for her plan. How many years does she think she have left? Would she be open to a different position, or is she stuck in her ways here? And then, if, like we talked about earlier, analyzing this situation, if it's a quick fix and we can just move that one kid and resolve this issue, then let's just move the kid and move on. But if it's multiple parents with multiple situations with multiple kids, then we got to go to step 2, and that's plan of assistance. With Mrs. Horton, I would excuse her for up to a week of her teaching duties. Removing her from the stressful situation might be good for her. A little personal reflection, come back refreshed. In that meantime, while she's gone, we can start a plan of assistance through the district policy. As we know, it's got to be detailed and thorough. We got to look through this together. We have to work through this together. We can't attack her with this, or I just feel like that's going to go bad. But it's going to go back to multiple observations a year. Some will be formal, some will be informal. We'll have a timeline that's clear. We know that's got to be at least a year, but it can't be more than 2 years with this plan of assistance. And there's going to be clear guidelines and goals and terms of improvement. And if she can't meet these goals and terms, then might potentially have to let her go. And also, I liked us providing some support with her, either hiring or moving a para teacher's assistant to Mrs. Horton's classroom, at least for most of the day. That allows a little fresh face and some support, but also I have a person in there that I trust that I can get a little insight and be my eye when I'm not in there. Step 3, parent communication. As a building leader, it's my job to improve the communication with these parents. I'm looking to build trust for this entire school again. Assure the parents that the situation will improve or other means will be looked at, and I got to stay ethical and professional during these times. Also, improved focus on our parent communication with our teachers. Got a little bit of a black eye with this situation. How can we improve our teacher-parent communication? Looking at somebody that does a great job with it in our building, and then having them give us some tips on how we all can improve. And then step 4, professional development. This issue kind of shined a light on there's probably more instances with teachers having high stress and it affecting their teaching. So we're gonna try and improve that by having some in-services where we learn how to handle stress differently, create some programs, some after-school clubs and whatnot to try and help our teachers and support them. And then also our teacher relationships right now are rocky. This would be another time. We've been consistent for 4 years. Set the standard that as the building leader, if I say we're going to do this reading program, then that's what we're going to do. And as a teacher, you need to do what you are asked a little bit. And then let's look at how to improve this environment. Category 3, resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. I promoted the academic success and personal well-being of every student by setting clear guidelines for Mrs. Horton. High-quality teachers are rare. Trying to get her back to that form will have the greatest impact for all students right now and for future. A lesson that shows everyone's accountable. Provided extra support through teacher's assistant. As we said, teammate may take away some of the added stress. New face and environment may turn this thing around, and have another set of eyes will help. Increase focus on and support on professional development. Through this issue, I found out what our building needs and what we can do in services so we can improve for our teachers. Category 4, debrief by reflection. I thought that Mrs. Wilson is a good building leader. She did a good job of taking ownership of the issue. She supported her teacher, but she also understood and listened to the parent and helped diffuse the entire parent meeting. And then the main thing when I was reading this case study is Mrs. Horton stood out to me as that old school teacher who's resisting change. She's in the workroom saying students aren't what they used to be, but she still teaches the same and she hasn't adapted. Every school has them. We know who they are. You kind of got to deal with it. But that's immediately who popped into my mind when I was reading this. I felt uneasy with Miss Horton's health, even though I thought that she was kind of an old school teacher. I still value her as a person, and that's a tough situation for anybody to go through. And I'm sure it would take a lot of people would be stressed out as well. So I did sympathize with her a little bit, but I was really upset by how the parents handled their disapproval. There's a hierarchy of communication and everything, and going to the superintendent and board of education right away just because your first grade daughter is having issues with her teacher is not okay. That's not how the world works, and that upset me. I did value the well-being of our students as we were going through this entire thing. I tried to value and just look at what decisions would be best for the well-beings of our students. Can this student-teacher relationship be repaired, and has these interactions impacted the student's opinion on school? Have we lost them, or can we bring them back? And then teamwork, value teamwork, as we saw with the new reading program. If not everyone's on the same page working towards the same goal, things don't get done very easily. So we need unity of our teachers, and that reflects to our student body. Unresolved issues, something that's going to be open to further investigation. We'll see. Time will tell. Does Mrs. Horton bounce back and accept the challenges of her improvement plan, or does she take offense to the plan and she retires or just becomes grumpy all the time? Can all the teachers come together and unify once again, or is Mrs. Horton going to stay the black sheep? Can we try and mend that relationship between all the teachers? Does Mrs. Wilson gain back the trust of the parents? As the building leader, can she bring back all the parents, or is she going to be perceived as incompetent at her job? Maybe lose the trust of all those parents. And then lastly, what are the opinions of Mrs. Horton's students? Has she lost her classroom, or can the student relationships flourish once again in the second half of the year? Can she mend those broken ones? Reflection of standard 2. As a building leader, I promoted the academic success of every student by holding teachers to high expectations. Mrs. Horton's improvement plan, either that was going to work, or I'm going to hire someone else that's quality personnel that will rise to the standards set by the school. Provide professional development opportunities. We're looking to improve instruction and classroom management in the entire building. Better teacher practices will equal higher academic success. And then I acted in a manner that was best for all students. If it was a single child, we moved the single child out. If it was multiple children, we created an improvement plan for Mrs. Horton so we could affect all of them. Component 2, promote the personal well-being of every student. I promoted a safe and healthy learning environment. Once I heard about the alleged verbal abuse in the classroom, that was not creating a positive environment. I stepped in and called for change. With the professional development and the stress management, create opportunities for in-service on how to manage stress, and hopefully we can avoid these negative environments moving forward. And then parent contact. I think parental contact and the well-being of every student kind of go hand in hand. By improving and increasing this communication, we should give some more support to our parents, which will then add more support to our students. Third component, enhance instructional capacity. With the new reading program, we're pushing that. We're continuously looking for research improvement programs that will improve our student learning. Unifying the entire staff. Private conversations took place with people that weren't on board with the reading program. And then our teacher evaluations, being present, visible in the classroom walkthroughs, making sure to be clear about what ideas are being observed, and then providing feedback to our teachers so we can improve. These are my standards, and I'm done with my case study. Thank you.